Yo, what's going on, your boy Ghost here. Today I bring you guys another comparison video between the XM4 and Cold MP5. Now I wanted to make this video because both of these weapons I believe to be the best secondaries in the game. That's not to say that there isn't any other weapon that is at the level of these guns, but there is certainly not a weapon that is above both of these in the current state of Warzone. You guys may disagree or agree with me on that, that's fine, but in my opinion, I believe that the XM4 and Cold MP5 are the top two secondaries currently in the game. But again, that's not to say that there isn't other guns that are at their level or close to their level, because there is still plenty of other very good secondaries that are in the game, and you know, we'll be doing some more videos as the week goes on. But for now, these two are the ones that I believe to be, without a doubt, the two best. But before we get into that, I want to say if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 2,000. And also a little disclaimer, as of me recording this video, it is currently 4th of July. So if you hear any like popping in the background or barking, that's just, you know, the noise going on right now. Everyone's having fun out there. You know, your boy's here making a YouTube video. But anyways, with that being said, man, let's get into the comparison. And here we have the recoil pattern for the XM4, which, as you guys can see, looks pretty rough, but in reality, this gun has no recoil, or very low recoil. But to be fair, the way I'm using this weapon, recoil doesn't really matter. And even at range, this weapon isn't all that bad. It's only when I start to reach at certain ranges, that's when the recoil presents itself. But again, I'm not using an underbarrel, I'm using a 3x scope, so obviously this is not made for range. It's meant to be pretty close to medium range and be able to be mobile. And I don't know, man, this XM4 has been one of my favorite secondaries for quite some time now. Ever since the FARA got nerfed when it was a dominant secondary, that's when the XM4 as a secondary really started to thrive, and it's just been going strong for quite some time. And I hope it doesn't get changed, because this weapon, I just think is really good. I think it does have a downside to it, so it's not like a completely broken secondary where like the FARA was, or the FARA was. Like, it's not broken in any way. I think it's a very powerful weapon, but it's not like, you know, some untouchable gun that guns can't gun. I mean, hell, look at it. The XM4, although might be one of the best secondaries in the game, it's not like a crazy meta. It's not like everyone's using it. A lot of people are using it, but you know, you still have the Cold MP5, you still have other SMGs being used, so it's not like it's the one true dominant secondary, which is fine. I like that because, you know, it means this gun shouldn't get nerfed. If it gets nerfed, I'm gonna be depressed because, you know, I love using this. And actually, a little tip, or yeah, a little side note. If you want to make this gun even more to have a more secondary feel, you could, instead of using the sight, you could just run the iron sight, put on a Tiger Team spotlight, and maybe a 16-round mag, just to have TB even quicker on the map. But for me, using Raider stock and having it in iron sight, it's just, for me, impossible to control. Some people can do it, so some people prefer to use the iron sight, but the way I use the XM4 as well, like, the sight just fits so much better for me. The way I engage in certain situations with this gun is just, I can't do that without a sight. And if I didn't use a sight, it would be the same as the SMG. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I think without a sight, the XM4 is definitely not as big as a threat in the secondary category as it is with the sight, which is kind of crazy because I'm not too keen on using secondary or sights on secondaries, but for this gun, I'll make an exception. And the reason I like using it the most is just because, I mean, listen, bro, this gun at medium range, very few guns beat it. And there's not a lot of SMGs that I could see beating the XM4 at range. Like, the Cold MP5 is good for close to somewhat medium range. But then, you know, with its recoil, it's not going to be able to gun at XM4 at range. And most SMGs, even the ones with low recoil, just don't have the damage like the XM4 to be able to gun it at medium range. But the XM4's weakness, it used to not have really a true weakness. Like, at close range, I was able to outgun a lot of SMGs, but the Cold MP5, bro, I can't gun that at close range. Every time I go up against it in close, like, when they're literally, like, I'm not kidding, 5 to 10 meters in my face, it's over, bro. I'm not gonna win that gunfight. I'll leave them weak, but I'm not gonna beat them in the gunfight, especially if they get the first shot on me. It's just not happening. Because that Cold MP5 is a big threat at close range, and that's why I love it, bro, because it's very fast, and, you know what I'm saying, at close range, there's very few weapons that could also gun it. But for the medium range, I think the only gun that could maybe beat it at medium range is that FARA. But, I mean, again, the FARA isn't used as a secondary, this is a primary, so that honestly doesn't count. But as a secondary, I think the only true gun that could gun it is the AK-47 when you use it as a secondary. And that gun doesn't even get that much attention anymore. So, this gun doesn't really have many counters to it in the ranged category when it comes to the secondary. And that's truly like one of the only reasons why I like using this gun. On top of the fact that it's very versatile, I like versatile weapons, guns that I can use at close to medium and long range. That's what this weapon has. It puts that on the table. And not many weapons like that in Warzone exist anymore. I feel like most weapons that are versatile end up getting nerfed somehow or some way. But this XM4 has been holding strong, which is, you know, we like to see that. But anyways, man, with that being said, let's get into the MP5. And here we have the recoil pattern for the Cold MP5, which as you guys can see is completely different from the XM4. And by this alone, you should already know that the XM4 will beat this Cold MP5 at medium to long range. But again, this is SMG, it's not an AR. We don't want this for long range. But I don't mind SMGs having medium range. If you guys have watched my SMG comparisons or secondary comparisons in general, you will know that I like to preach the fact that I love my secondaries to have a medium range to somewhat long range, because I get a little crazy with my SMGs. Sometimes, you know, I have the bad habit, don't do this, of challenging ARs with my SMG. And so guns like the Bullfrog, the LC10, PPSH even, not PPSH, but just like, you know, guns that don't really have that much recoil. I love them because it allows me to get crazy with them. But guns like the Cold MP5, you know, I have to adjust my playstyle a little bit for the better, so I don't commit horrible mistakes and end up dying because I wanted to challenge a Farah at a range and I shouldn't have challenged it. But that's why, you know, again, that's why I love the XM4, because it just does everything. It does everything and it doesn't fail you. The Cold MP5, I can't really do everything, but what it can do, it does it really good. So like I mentioned earlier, in close range, like this gun is just untouchable. I don't think there's many guns that can necessarily outgun it. There might be guns that can maybe compete with it at close range, but very few guns can like just straight up outgun it, straight up demolish it and make it look terrible. But the XM4 is not one of those guns. The XM4, like I mentioned earlier, I can never really beat a colder MP5 at close range because I can't gun it. You know, the damage is way too high, the fire rate is solid, and it's just way more built for close range combat, which is obvious because it's SMG. No brainer there. But I don't know, man. It's crazy because this gun has always been technically this good, but I think the recoil is what really made people not really mess with it. And to be honest, I don't know what changed. I mentioned this in my last MP5 video or Colder MP5 video. I'm sorry if I'm confusing you, by the way. When I say MP5, I mean Colder MP5, just so we don't have any more confusion or more confusion later. But anyways, the Cold MP5, like the recoil for it has always been bad, right? But recently, or with the class setup that I use now, it's just non-existent. And I want to attribute it to the fact that I didn't use a barrel. So if you feel like you're using an MP5 and you're not really like vibing with it and you feel like it's too much recoil, I'm telling you guys, get rid of that barrel, because man, that barrel completely ruins it. Because look, think about it. Like I mentioned, this gun has a lot of recoil. If you put on the barrel, what's the point? You're not going to beam people. You're still going to get a lot of recoil. So why not take it off and just make it a strict, dominant close range weapon? And that's, like as you see now, it's running things because it's that good at a secondary. Like no gun could really come. I wouldn't say come close to it. My bad. That's a little misleading. But no gun could really surpass it because it's just that damn good. And one of the things that I really like about both these weapons is the fact that their mobility is amazing. Like for an AR, the XM4 is a very solid weapon for mobility, and the Cold MP5 is an SMG, and the way I built it, like, it's a speed demon, bro, and I love mobility. So if you're worried about mobility, man, trust me, both these weapons are probably one of the best at it for their respective categories. But whew, man, speed demons, I'll tell you. Anyways, a little side note that I wanted to add on simply because it was brought up to me in one of my videos for the Cold MP5 is the fact of how I got my iron sight. Most of you guys may already know how this iron sight is obtained, but for those that don't know, it comes with the variant that was in the Season 3 Battle Pass. At the moment, I'm pretty sure you can't get the specific variant that I'm using in this video. However, there may be another variant for the Cold MP5 that has an iron sight. I just don't know it, so you would have to figure that out yourself. And to be honest, I think that the iron sight that I'm using currently at the moment is a lot better than the base one. And I never thought I would say that, but I just feel like it's more compatible for the Cold MP5 and especially how it works. But I think that probably comes to personal preference, because I do see some other players run the base MP5 iron sight and some that use the variant. But I think it just comes down to preference. And also, speaking of preference, between both of these weapons, just in case someone asks which one I would prefer, and I gotta be honest, I don't really have a preference between both these weapons because these weapons do things their own way, and to be honest, I think the best way for you to decide on which one is better for yourself is just using both of them and seeing which one is more to your liking. It's gonna come down to personal preference on this one, boys. I gotta be honest. Both of these are demons, and again, respectively, they're top 2 in the category, that secondary category. I think there shouldn't be debate on that. There might be ties between other guns, but I don't see any weapon that's capable of surpassing these at the moment. And with that being said, man, let me know what you guys think about both these weapons. Where do you guys rank them in your personal secondary rankings? And yeah, talk to you guys later. I'm out. Peace.